Welcome back to another exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV. I'm your host, Gary Malevsky, and the publisher of Cyber Defense Magazine. Sitting in my hot seat today is a very special guest, Anthony Cardozo with a Z.
That's right.
Who's in charge of business development for one of my favorite companies, XTN-lab.com, and they deal with one of the biggest issues that we have to think about in cybersecurity, fraud prevention. Welcome, Anthony.
Well, thanks for having me, Gary.
So how do you prevent fraud, and what's going on in this whole thing about biometrics and behavioral analysis to really understand the issue?
Sure. Yeah, so let me start by telling you a little bit about XTN. We were founded in 2014 by systems integrators in northern Italy. And so they were working with some of the largest banks in Italy, and they were tasked with kind of creating a custom transaction monitoring and signing solution for that bank. And so what they found in, sort of being engaged on the front line as fraud practitioners, they found that there were a number of point solutions that were available that, effectively had to be latched together in order to sort of create the solution that the bank was looking for. So rather than taking a number of point solutions and latching them together, they kind of took that holistic view to create what we call the cognitive security platform.
Hold on. Cognitive security platform. Everyone at trade shows talks, I've got AI, I've got cognition, I understand I'll tell you, I'll predict the next piece of malware tomorrow. Machine learning this, machine learning that. But you actually have a cognitive system. How does it work?
That's correct. So, if we're playing buzzword bingo, you might,
I love that. Buzzword
you might
bingo.
win just
First time I heard it.
In watching this section. But
okay.
No, absolutely. So our solution basically takes into consideration the years and years that a fraud practitioner, that a fraud analyst has and their experience. And what we've tried to do is really encode that in our solution. So the idea is to take maybe a junior operator, a brand new fraud analyst, and give them the wisdom and sort of the knowledge necessary to quickly respond to frauds as they're occurring and really to be able to protect both the customers and the service in real time.
So there's now fraud analysts they've already had them in banking for years, but they didn't really have technology to help determine what the risk is.
Exactly.
So let's say, I'll tell you, it happened to me. I'm at some hotel in a different state, and I'm using my credit card or my bank card or my debit card. And even though I told them I'm in a different state, I bought some hotel rooms for a lot of people. Bing, bing, bing. Oops, card won't work anymore. I say, I didn't even get a phone call. And then, I see an hour later or something because the SMS was late, obviously, that the card's getting declined, not because there isn't money available, but because they assume or believe that there's fraud or some hacker stole my card.
As a prevention mechanism.
Now, that's a little too slow for me.
Sure.
Can you speed that up so I have an instant response?
Yeah, absolutely. So from our perspective, we think that if there's suspicious activity occurring on your account, you should receive an alert in real time through a secure and encrypted channel. So that would be, the bank or the service provider's application.
So credit unions and banks, they need this for real-time prevention of fraud, but also to reduce false positives so that we can do our business.
Exactly. And I think one way that I think about the solution is you're really able to empower your customers to become the front line of defense, the first line of defense against attacks. And by giving them those messages, by providing really informed, so you're not just going to receive a code that says you need to log in, if you're going to log into your site, you're going to receive a code specifically that says someone's attempted to do a password reset flow. And if you didn't attempt to do that password reset flow, you're going to immediately have an opportunity as the customer to block that transaction from your mobile application.
Phenomenal. Block the transaction right from the mobile. So I could be on the road as a fraud practitioner, not in the office, having lunch, and I can. Or are you saying I personally, as the consumer, can block the transaction?
That's correct. Yeah. So as the end user, you're going to have the opportunity to become that sort of first line of defense for.
Whoa! I, the end user, can be the first line of defense, so I don't have all these false positives.
That's correct.
This is unheard of in the whole industry. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really an interesting approach to take. I think that the user and the device really is the weakest link. If you think about the typical end user, they're probably not on the latest version of the of the mobile, the operating system, right? They're not on the latest version. And they might not have a great security posture. They might not use local device biometrics for locking for screen lock and that sort of thing, right? So you think about giving visibility into unmanaged endpoints, right? That's if you're offering a digital service, then one of the biggest risks to that service is the users and the devices that they're using to access that service.
So if a bank has 10,000 customers, you've just enabled 10,000 people to be the fraud prevention army.
Sure.
That's phenomenal.
And shouldn't they have a vested interest in protecting their own accounts?
One of the things that people do is they think about work a lot, but they say, okay, it's not my job, it's somebody else's job. But when it's their bank account, right, when it's their personal mobile device and it's personal risk of losing all their money, suddenly they take it a little more seriously than they do at work.
Sure.
I mean, I've noticed one of the biggest issues, we'll just pick on remote access Trojans and phishing attacks, right? You don't want it at home, but you get to work and you click the link and you lose all the company records and say it was an accident. So they put you through spear phishing training 101 and you hopefully don't click the link again. Are you saying that knowledge of really getting smart can get into the phone so we're all part of securing our personal assets, but we could also do it for our business if we were the CFO?
I think it's all about providing visibility, right? Both for the fraud team that you're talking about on the back end, being able to monitor the service and ensure that there's not an active attack going on. But I think on the other side of it is also giving that power to the end user, right? To make sure that if something is occurring in real time, well, they're the ones who actually have an opportunity. If they're interacting with a mobile application, then they should have the opportunity to block a transaction, to block fraud as it's occurring.
So how quickly can we be deployed? And let's talk small network of a credit union with 500 customers and 20 employees. And let's talk, Bank of America.
Sure.
With thousands and thousands.
A big difference there, yeah. So I think you're probably looking at, from an implementation perspective, probably between, maybe 2 to 3 weeks to maybe 6 months plus, depending on, kind of the complexity of the environment, the number of users, to your point.
We're talking SaaS, by the way. Is it all in the cloud and it goes through XTN, or is it XTN with some software that gets deployed in my banking environment?
Sure. So we've got a kind of a broad range of deployment options, and then kind of we can do both there. We can do a perpetual licensing if that's kind of the best option there, but we also have a SaaS and we have a cloud-hosted environment as well.
So last question. I heard that XTN is the next generation on understanding, we'll call it the human fingerprint. Is it based on their behavior? What is the analytics that you can publicly share that bring you to the next level over any other fraud preventers?
Sure. Yeah. So I think that when we think about, again, the device being the most inherent risk, there's a whole trove of data that we can access from that device. So when you think about, having a system that's looking at the typical behavior of your sort of average customer, you can use that normal behavior profile to then spot out anomalies. So
we're looking at like 20 different
nearsightedness, left-handedness, right? How hard you press onto the phone.
More than the EMEI stuff, more than the MAC address.
Correct. Yeah. So
the normal guys do the basic stuff.
Above and beyond network location and typical network behavior. So you're on your home network.
Is this patented or patent pending?
Trusted device.
Not sure.
Not certain about that.
But it's your proprietary thing.
That's correct.
XTN-lab, no S.
.com.
Okay, this is one of my best hot seats. This is exciting, and we're looking at stopping fraud. It drives me and all of our readers and visitors crazy, and you have just made it through the hot seat and helped our visitors to go to xtn-lab.com and learn how to prevent fraud in a next generation way. And then come back next time for an exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV. Thank you.